To go.
Welcome to Shona Ray Studios. It's June 14th. The moon is full, strawberry moon in Sagittarius, and we are live from my studio. And today is a very exciting day, but first we'd like to acknowledge, in the spirit of reconciliation, that we live, work, and play on the traditional territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Siksika, Kainai, Piikani, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda Nations, the Métis Nations, Region 3, and all the people, Indigenous and non, who make their homes in the Treaty 7 region of Alberta, land back. So thanks to the Calgary Arts Development Association, we are having episode 12 today. And today is also our big reveal for the red shoes. We started with the red shoes, and we started not knowing what we were getting into, doing all this filming and editing, and the process has changed quite a lot since we began, and I'm very excited about everything that we've been able to accomplish this last 5 months. So I'm just going to show you the shoes. There they are. Remember, that was the last thing I showed you on the red shoes. So, keeping her under wraps, because we have 10 videos to share with you to show what we went through to get her to a place where I can really finish her now. So let's start. Let's start with the pendant.
All right. So
Yeah.
what is that?
So I started from scratch again. A girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. Thank you, Mae West. So,
First video for pendant.
mm-hmm.
There we go.
So there we are. We just started by cutting out 1.5 sheet. We realized that all this soldering of needles and hypos, that was not going to happen. It's so much extra work. So I just took a piece of nice thick material and started out again. I had the bone already carved. It was a matter of drawing it on, and it was all one piece now instead of all these little pieces soldered on top. So it's always, this time I was a little bit more careful with the layout as well. You see that 1.5 on my metal? I do that with all my metal because I'm cutting it up all the time, and I like to know just at a glance what thickness it is. Of course, it's never exactly what you want from when you buy it. Sawing, whoa, look at her go. Yeah, so I didn't show everything, but one thing I did want to show is how I started in one direction and then went at it from another direction, so that all these little tiny bits that I'm sawing it's easier if you have a big piece of metal to turn and work with than if you have this little tiny piece of metal when you're making sharp, small cuts. So that's kind of why I showed you this sawing process. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to be going, oh wow, I showed you the whole thing. Wow, aren't I clever? Well, there you go. The tiny cuts, back to where we started again. Boom. It's all done then in two fell swoops there. So we have that cut out, and then I soldered a bar of 1.5 metal on there because a lot of pressure will be on the back of that middle hypo, because that's where the bail's going to be. And so I soldered it there, pegged it, and now I'm going to just give it a light cleanup, and then I'm going to be sawing these little hypos And basically I'm carving with my saw here because it's very thick. Ends up being 3 millimeter thick material that I'm sewing on. And I just did the middle one to start. I left the 2 outside ones till after all the soldering would be done. So I clean it up a little, get it quite close to where I want it to be. And then I ground down that back piece because I didn't need quite that much support. I just wanted that added support so it wouldn't bend. So there I'm using a round tool on a flat surface, which is generally a no-no, but if you're careful, you can keep it quite flat. And then taking my big bastard file to it. I love the name of that file. And so that's the beginning of the pendant, and then we'll just go straight into I soldered the bail. I'm sorry, I never could find the next, oh no, here it is. The making of the bail. Yeah, so I took another piece of that really thick metal, and I'm basically, the reason why I want to show you how I'm doing this is how you make a box. You know, it can be any length material, but you have to file a groove in it so that when you bend it, it bends nicely and makes a nice angle. And of course, it can be any angle you want, but I've got my triangle file in there, so I'm getting a nice angle on it. Then I take my parallel pliers and give it a nice little boop, and it's good to go. And now I'm cleaning up. Do it again, make that groove on the other side. And notice I'm keeping my metal long. I want to keep my metal long because it's easier to hold a long piece of metal than it is a little piece of metal. Okay, so then I annealed it before I did the last bend. And then I soldered it on. And I'm sorry I don't have footage of the soldering. But you've seen me solder before. I didn't even do it. I'll be honest. Brianne did the soldering for me. Anyways, now I'm grinding this bench pin out. And if I was teaching, I would say, why? Why am I doing that? And it's so that I can freely move those that little heart around on that bench pin, so that when I go to saw it, I don't have to worry about it being in the way. And yet I need it. It's very tricky sawing this little tiny thing on this great big piece of wood. So then I was able to saw those little pieces out. Now I'm filing and cleaning up, and there is an enormous amount of filing in this piece. After the solder, you want to give it a good a rough file, and I always like to bristle brush and just see what I've got. A lot of people take the actual brass bristle brush to their piece afterwards, but I like and then after doing a lot of filing, I'm taking my lentil a bit, and then more filing, carving in the hypo needles. And you know, it's a challenge, this essential tremor, but we figure out ways to work for us. And you know, it's amazing what you can get done when you put your mind to it. And then there's a little bit of filing in there, creating those. And I think I showed you demos of me making the needles, so basically I'm doing the same thing here. Nice. Sometimes you just want to get out your nice flat emery, see what you've got going on there, and keeping the surface nice and flat. So there we go. And I just want you to know, so much filing. Just file, 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 clean up, clean up, clean up, file, 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 clean up, clean up, clean up. I'm only showing you moments of what I actually did. And so now we're going to go the final blue cleanup to rivet, to the riveting of the pendant. So always this lovely lentil shape gets in those funny little corners. Feathering it along, texturing the back of the metal with what I'm calling my new essential tremor texture. Texturing the heart, because over time it will gather dust and dirt and give it a little bit, it'll pop it out a little bit more, plus it'll add a few shadows. Otherwise, even if you do keep it really clean, it'll get these shadows, and I don't know, it gives it just a little more pop. Getting the rivets ready, I've oxidized the pendant, and I've shown you oxidation before, so I didn't think I needed to film that part. Here we go, making sure the rivets fit. When you've got 3 rivets like that, you have to keep them in while you're riveting. Otherwise, the metal will shift, and then your 3rd rivet for sure won't fit, and you have to re-drill. So sometimes if it's not a good tight fit, I put 2 rivets from the back side in while I rivet the one, and then flip them as needed. There we go. Can still do it on my own. The big trick here, of course, is not hitting the bail. And that's always the big trick. There we go. So, here you go, kids. Shall we go to camera 2? Here's the pendant. And it fits. It does fit on the sculpture as is, but we have this nice chain here, and if we didn't want to put it on the sculpture, we can always hang it around her neck. She can wear it as a pendant too. We just thought of that this morning, you know? So I'll be oxidizing this chain, and Jennifer's going to put it on the chain for us, and then, oh no, let's show it on the sculpture first and then put it on the chain. Yeah, okay. So now what's next? The next thing is the new frame. What we decided is I just woke up in the middle of the night and went, oh, that frame is just not going to work. If I even get it as far as I need to, I'm going to break the skull before it's finished. So it's just too much pressure on that skull and too fiddly. So I went, okay, back to the drawing board. And this is what I came up with. So let's just go to new frame, start. So here we are, the drawing of, I drew up just a single hypo needle. Instead of the horns, I made it a crescent moon set of horns. So we've got a little goddess energy going on there too, you know? And the horn god is an old friend of mine anyway. So here we go, lay it out, cut it out. You can see me just chattering away. Poor Cherry has to put up with my incessant chatter, or whoever else is in the studio. There we go. It's all ready to go. Do some piercing. You'll see that I left 2 bars there. I was kind of thinking of the 2 colors, the double colors of the pills that I'm working with, but also I was thinking it might need that support. So I left those bars on in case. I can always take them off later. So here we go. Lots of sawing, drilling. This, and now we drill into the skull, make the one saw cut to fit the one hole that's already there. And just because of the size of it and everything, it was just really not a problem just to boom, because I only put 1, 2, 3, 5 holes in it. So, but as you can see, it's bigger than the other frame. So here we get some more bone carved out. And this is it. Here it comes, and look at that beautiful piece of skull. And though I have no need of it today, I see making a little mini-me or something out of it later on, or another little red shoes doll. So there we go. Now just more piercing. I find the wax really helps. It actually helps keep your saw blade straight for some reason. And then so much filing, you can imagine, on this piece. So we just go. Hours and hours of filing on this piece. So many facets to it. But basically what I've shown you is the 3 main saw blades that I used. So there we go. And the next one is the new frame to the horn shaping. So there we go. We shaped the frame just like we did the original one. And we soldered these rivets in. See, they're a little poking out here and there. Back to more filing. So much filing. And then filing off those rivets. And when I was doing it, I realized one rivet didn't solder all the way through. But then we just resoldered it. Now we're shaping that horn. Now I had to remove my my bone saw when we started this film project just to make room. So now I'm having to go back to how I used to get rid of the bones, but I have a lot of experience doing that. This was an interesting challenge, getting the inside of the horns done. And you'll see I'm using a cutting disc. Oh, drill the horn now. Know exactly where you're going to be cutting, sawing. Now it's laid in bone, not in stone. Now we have no choice where we make our cuts and where we do our shaping. So this, I use wax, and that makes less dust when I'm using this cutting disc. And I just love this. I love my parallel pliers. They're worth every penny. They're $40-some a piece 20 years ago, or 30 years ago, but worth every penny. There we go. Just feathering with it. I actually, when I first started carving, I used this tool a lot, so I got quite good at carving shapes with it. It eventually will break, and you can see I didn't show you, but it was about to break there, but there we go. That's how you get rid of any part of a bone. Now more grinding with my beautiful grinding tool and filing the horns so that they work with the bone. And there we go. Now what are we going to do? The final thing is saw the bars to the finish. So this frame, as opposed to taking weeks to make, took 3 days. Yes, so it was worth every penny in extra metal. Plus, the skull wasn't compromised, and I knew it would work. So I realized I did not need those bars, so off they come. File, 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 file. Oh, so much filing. And then all the little, just get everything just right. I just had to go through the whole piece and get it just right. bristle brush is my friend. Go through, it was a matter of filing, cleaning up, making sure there's no saw marks, getting rid of the rivets, and then texturing. So what I did is I start at the bottom and see, is that the texture I want? Yeah, okay. Making lines like this can be a real challenge with the trimmer, but it's a matter of setting up where my hand is steadiest and being relaxed. Of course, the tremor is worse when I'm nervous or emotional. Getting ready for this live stream today. Oh, my hands were shaking. Anyways, here we go. Texture with the ball. Texture. Just ever so much fun. Past where we need it. Check with the bone. Make sure it's good. And then use what I call my essential tremor texture, which is my new favorite. Just squiggly lines. And a little bit of contrast there then. File. Clean up. And of course, this happened many times. There we go, making sure everything fits. Then I'm also making this hair-like texture on the horns. The whole idea of this wild nature that that is inside of us is important in my work. Grinding out where the rivets are going to go. And boom, same thing. All 3 rivets were in at the same time, but they fit snug. That's the nice thing about working with the bone, is it fits nice and snug. And just going in and making sure that the skull is the actual proper size for the new frame. There you go, kids. New frame. So then, how am I going to keep the pills in? You may very well ask. Well, I use screen, and I'm really sorry. When I get excited, I jump up and do things standing up. I've done that since I was a kid. And I made the screen before. I didn't do it at my bench. I didn't. I could maybe demo that another day. I'll probably use screen again. I'll show you how to use the screen. But yeah, that's what happens. My grade 4 teacher, years later we became friends when I grew up, and she said I spent more time standing at my desk than I did sitting because I was excited about what I was doing. And I'm still excited at my desk. There you go. So here we go. Should we show the finishing of the frame before I reveal?
The felt scene?
No, I'm going to... we finished the frame, and now what else do we have? We've done the pendant and the frame. And now we have all the felting. So I'm just going to reveal a little bit more of the doll. Just a little more. So just a little bit more so you can see that frame there. I'm going to go as close to you as I can get. We're a little far away today.
Want to use the camera number 2?
Yeah, let's use camera number 2. So there you can see. Can you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Can you see the pills behind there? Mm-hmm. So that's the screen we used. I can actually remove this frame still. It's not fastened completely in place. And I can change the screen if I choose. But I'm pretty sure I like it. I can also oxidize it if I want. But I don't think so. I think it kind of brightened. I mean, she's a dark piece. So, and the pills aren't in your face. And that's okay. You have to really look at this piece to see the detail and the subtleties, which is okay too. because she's not subtle otherwise. Okay, let's go to the, and I'll show you how this can just slip on right on that. I left enough room, and the pendant just slips on like that. See? Oh God, I'm so terrible at this. But see how the pendant just slips on? So there you go. That's that. The next thing is, let's show the felting. So then it was time to start felting. And so just a disclaimer here, I felt at home mostly. It's taken me a while to get my lighting up to snuff, and it's still not really there. And lighting, as we all know, in this business, lighting is everything. So I'm really sorry, Red Shoes. The lighting is never going to be the best for you on the felting. But the next piece we do, we'll have that sorted out. So let's show it anyways. I already showed you how I made the head. Now I wanted the big eye in there, and I did mention I would show you how I recess these pieces, because I don't always know exactly if I'm going to use some components. But what I love about the felt is that I can take it apart. So I want to when I'm doing this, I'm really careful the direction my knife is going. So don't do this at home by yourself, kids. And then twisting the little wires and getting the wool underneath. And what I'm really doing is tangling the wool around the wires. I'm not worried about the background or anything. Just tangling that wool. You can see I'm really going in at an angle. So I do that all the way around before I start felting down. There. Okay, so I did that all the way around, and then you'll see I added more wool. I'm just showing you the start of what I did. So that's the beginning of the big eye. So now her eye is attached. I'm ready to attach her and her arms. And we did have a little accident with one of the arms. It broke, but you know, we're clever people and creative, and we can make it happen, make it work. So I think I showed you how I did this before at the beginning of the video. So, you know, just getting in there and getting that. Oh, the lighting isn't as bad as I thought. I don't know. I guess it depends. Maybe it's my monitor, my big monitor. It's much better than I thought. Anyways, now I'm very careful to really, what I'm concentrating again is getting that wool felted around the components that are just wired together. And same on the other side. You see a little broken arm? That's okay. Worked out perfect. Gave me A, more movement, and B, a place to put a bandage over her needle holes. So there you go. We're dealing with addiction here, kids. And just lots of, anybody who's needle felted. Okay, so the neck was very wiggly. And so I remade the hanger and to accommodate it, plus to fit the size of the piece. The first two I made were way too big. So there we go. I made this to the way I made it, not only to hang on to and be a strong hanger, but also to support the neck as a neck support to the dolls, so her head's not wobbling around. And then the next one is attaching the hands and the feet and the wool and the legs. So here we go. I had to grind out to accommodate the wire. So there was a little bit of freedom of movement in that. And then getting the wool inside the legs, as it worked out, I couldn't do it inside the arms. It barely fit in the legs, but it really worked out. I didn't do any felting on it afterwards, but it was really hard to pull through. And then poof, it would just pull through and break off. It was perfect. There we go. And we take the little foot and we put it on there. And we twist the wire around. And then because of the textures and everything I put in it, it would just break off really easily. So that worked out really perfectly. And here's the shoes. So inside, remember I had that curvy bit. I just pushed it down. I didn't have a hammer small enough, so I used the end of my pliers often. Something gentle to push things down with against, like I'm really not familiar with working with these little deer toes, so I have to be quite gentle with them. They're stronger than I thought only. There we go. It's just a matter of winding, twisting, bending, and then as you can see, I felt it inside the little foot. Some red felt in there and we're good to go, and they worked out. I'm really pleased with how easy this process was. There you go. There's my little toes. And here's the broken hand. Checking for the length. Checking the length. Oh no, this is the good hand. Oh, no. Checking the length. I want to make sure it hangs just like on me. It hangs at my thighs, so close to there would be good. And there's a little wiggling going on in that hand. And now we simply attach the arm with the wrist hanger that originally would have been at the wrist, taking another piece of wire that I got off the red shoes, making a nice thing to hang the hand from. There, a little bit of, make sure it's got some movement. Basically, there you go. Twisting, winding, wrapping. It's not what I went to art school to learn how to do, but boy, these pieces get a lot of it. So there you go. And so that's the hands and the feet and the wool in the legs. And now you'll notice that we had, you'll notice probably all this weird, ugly rags wrapped around her hands and feet. Well, that's part of the story. The reason she's noticed by the old lady is because the young girl who has nothing takes rags and wraps them around her feet. She's very proud of her rag shoes. So, and losing them, she lost her creative expression and therefore turned to the red shoes or drugs or alcohol or sex or work. And that it's finding that thing that you've lost that can help you overcome these addictions. So really a very important part of the story that a lot of people might not even think about. So let's go to that next part, tying the rags. So actually, my girlfriend helped me tie all these rags. I am the worst tire. This is my third attempt. I'll be honest, third attempt just to tie two pieces of rags together. And I also have you know that these rags were cut from fabric that I got out of like the leftover fabric from my mom's sewing room. So this was the easy part. Just tying the rag on and then just tying it to itself. That I could see how that girl did it. If ever I'm without shoes, I know now how to make them. So there we go, tying the little foot up and felting the little red into the shoes, and I did that in sections. You know what it's like when you're needle felting, if you do. And then I'm preparing the belly for the pills. So I took a nice long kind of sheety piece of dark purple wool. In my mind, the purple is like the bruising of the soul. So I wanted to use it in the piece more than I did, but wherever it worked. And you'll see these two ties there in the back, those two wrapped pieces of bronze. Those are actually keeping the neck wire. The piece that hangs the feet to the back of the piece, so it doesn't get in the way of the pills. And that's me pushing, again, using my rubber handled tools to push over the rivets that were in the frame onto the metal. There was just really no way of showing it. And then prying a piece of that felted wool away, popping the pills inside, and there you go. There. So there's only one thing left to show now. Do you want to, should we go to so here, I wrapped the little hands in rags as well. So they're done. Pills are all in there, little foot. And every once in a while I trim away a little bit more rag or something. And then the last thing I want to show you is, and this is the beginning of her little bandage. I'm going to actually make that look like a bandage around her arm, because that's where typically you'll find that addicts have holes or scarring or infections in their arms. So it just all worked out. Like the universe just never lets you down. So let's go to the final cut and hairstyle, kids. So, so trimming the rags so you can hopefully see the pieces better, And then I took all these strips of pre-felted red felt, made holes in them, and pierced these little nails that I made months ago. And I just used my needle nose pliers. Poke a little hole in, and the little split rivets, you can see them in the background there, they worked like fantastic. It was just really, here it was a little bit challenging because as I pushed against her, she kept shifting forward. But I managed to get, just to see if it would work, I managed to get a little bit done. And then I had to come up with a way of holding her upright. So I feel bad to say it, but I hung her by her neck onto a vise that I keep on the side of my felting bench. So there she is, hung by the neck, by the same wool that I'm using to felt on top of the pre-felted wool. So I'm laying the pre-felted wool in, and then see, I've got a bunch more room for a bunch more nails, but I just wanted to see if I could do that, and it could be done. It's just so, this was such a cool, and you see the other felt there, just gives a little bit of body to it and gives the nail a little bit more support. And I still have more of this to do, but you'll see what I did. I've got a good start on it. And oh my God, the time is now, kids. Let us reveal the red shoes in all her ugly glory. So there she is. How do we do? Can you see her there? I ended up doing the hair. Here, maybe we can go to camera number 2. I did the hair, and then as you can see, I put a lot more work into it than I showed you on the video. And, but then I wasn't going to add these ears. But after I finished the hair, I went and had a nice long hot meditation bath. And I had hung her up in the kitchen just to see what she looked like. And I felt like there was something missing. And then I went, what about those ears? Got out of the bath, cut into the material just like I did for the eye. And attach the ears, and you can see I wired them in with some brass wire, and there'll still be more felting here to finish this up. But the good thing about it, is she hangs on the wall. I do not have to worry about her tilting too much forward. When she hangs, obviously, on the wall, she hangs beautifully. And her little pendant stays on very nicely. It does not fall off. But if we wanted to, we can make this chain, darken this chain, and hang the pendant. And then if I get a chance, maybe I'll make a little mini-me. Maybe I'll make a little mini-me. Red shoes out of the leftover skull that we cut out. And that can hang on her chest. Or around a chain. Who knows, right? We can do whatever we want because we're creative people. So thank you so much, Jennifer. Yeah, come join us here. Yeah, Jennifer with her fabulous new purple hair. Here, trade spots with me so people can really see it. Yeah, wow,
I needed a little pick-me-up, and I had a bunch of leftover colors, so I mixed it all together, and I got purple.
Oh, it's really great. So there we go. Red shoes, red hair, a little bit more work on the hair, a little bit more felting work to be done, as usual with pieces like this. But pretty happy. The shoes really came out. The hand fits like that, and it's got this gesture to it. And this one, yeah, there. And then that can just go up, wrap around there, and there you go. How did that work out?
Looks good.
There you go. The red shoes, done. Well, done. You can see it's done. I mean, it's not, but done enough, right? And
just details.
Oh yeah, and I'm like that with a lot of my pieces. I go back into them over and over and over again, and
it's not done till it's out the door.
Yeah, it's not even in the gallery.
Yeah.
Who was it? Was it Manet would go into the gallery after his work was hung and keep painting.
That's funny.
And he would get in a lot of trouble for that, but he couldn't stand it. If it's not right, it's not right, right? A girl's got to do what a girl's got to do. Or a boy, or they. And as far as the red shoes go, I'm really glad that I had that epiphany at, 4 a.m. And I'm glad that I listened. And I didn't try and push ahead, because honestly, we were 2 days away from finishing those hypodermic needles, which we have, a few of them made. So I may add one.
Fun earrings or something.
They could make, kind of weird earrings.
Yeah, weird, but I mean,
yeah,
like that.
But I thought I might put one when I finish her back. I probably put stab her back. Anyways, we'll figure it out. I'll use them somewhere. Maybe I'll make a pair.
I'd wear a pair of earrings.
Oh, there you go. Christmas present finished. So there you go. That's it for the red shoes today. Baba Yaga has really, really come a long way. Jennifer and I did a lot of, do you want to, here, let's.
Camera
Can we,
keeps on.
oh, we've done a lot of work on the flames of Baba Yaga. So then, and the keyhole is soldered and ready to go. The flames are soldered, ready to go. We just have to finish them. And I think that this piece will be ready for our next, oh, this is just so beautiful. Where is it? This is so beautiful. There, thanks, Jim. I'm so dyslexic. Even putting my makeup on in the mirror is a challenge, I'm telling you. Anyways, we all need our challenges. And I learned something about myself this week, that no matter what that comes along, I have faith that the universe has got my back. So our next live stream will be to present the finished Baba Yaga. I'm hoping July 7th or 8th. We're not sure. We're thinking maybe of switching over to Wednesdays. I used to have music practice on Wednesday nights, so I didn't want to have two big things going on at once. But our music practice night has shifted as well. So maybe Wednesday's a better day to have a live stream, if that works for us. But you know what? I make this promise that I will send out on Instagram and TikTok a notification when I'm going to live stream. And I thought when I first started this project that I could schedule those live streams and I would do it. You know what? It didn't work out that way. And that's okay too. We need to be gentle with ourselves. You know, these have been a very difficult few years for a lot of people. And so we need to be gentle. So I told Jennifer I would need this. Anyways, there you go. The big reveal. And I brought my red shoes. I didn't wear them. But I want to thank Wendy for supporting me. And this is Wendy. And she has supported me throughout the making of this piece, as has Stephanie and Jennifer, Cindy and Cherry and Herb. And I would like to say thanks to Kada once again for providing a grant so we could do this project, because even though it's been very challenging, it's been awesome. I love it. And I also want to thank the camera store. Did I say thank you to Ron Chikor again for all his wonderful consultation and teaching me and making it happen, really. I couldn't have done it without him. So once again, thank you to Herb for making all my dreams come true. And we'll see you in July.